It's the same thing.
Yes.
But I can get a VA.
Dennis, can you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Richard? Here. Adrian? Here. Juanita?
Here.
Ernie? Here. Quorum. Approval of minutes from regular meeting held on April 16th, 2019.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting held on April 16, 2019.
Second. I have a motion by Adrian, a second by Richard. Roll call. Richard?
Four.
Adrian?
Four.
Juanita?
Four.
Ernie? Four. All right, motion passes. Approval of agenda for tonight's meeting, May 7th, 2019.
Make a motion to approve the agenda for May the 7th, 2019.
I second that.
I have a motion by Richard, a second by Juanita. Roll call. Richard?
Four.
Adrian?
Four.
Juanita?
Four.
Ernie? Four. Motion passes. Approval of the voucher list for the month of March. Is it March or April?
Last month.
April.
April.
Make a motion to approve a voucher list for the month of April.
Second.
I have a motion by Ernie, a second by Richard. Roll call. Richard?
Four.
Adrian? Four. Juanita?
Four.
Ernie?
Four.
All right, motion passes. First item on the agenda, presentation of records destruction certificate.
This is the, what we approved back on March. I want to say January we approved this, and this is just a presentation of what we've destroyed. It's all the NVD files. It turned out to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15 boxes. Oh, yeah. 15 boxes. Yeah, and we destroyed it over a period of 3 days. It's been a long week and it's only Tuesday.
Was that the record, they're not, we have the record of no police station, right?
Yes, and that's
Oh.
to be destroyed next.
Here.
And it's just a review, that's not an action item.
Yeah.
Any questions?
And after you shred, what do you do with it? Just throw it on?
We either throw it into the dumpster, or since it was wintertime, I was burning it in my
Fire.
fireplace. We just can't destroy, we can't destroy it by fire, we have to destroy it by destruction, and it's disposable.
Don't feel bad, I do the same.
And they destroyed this at Town Hall.
You know, that's taken away from gas money. Because that's not even enough on gas. Because you're using it fireplace. Motion?
Well, there's no motion, it's a presentation.
Oh,
It's not an
sorry.
action. Yeah, it's not an action.
My bad, my bad. Moving on, approval of request for disposition of records destruction.
So this is the same thing, we went through, we have a file room in the saw building, and we went into the closet, and it has a lot of old files dating from 2009, 2007, 2006. Here's one from 1999, time cards. And so we basically went through everything up until 2015. Everything, we verified that it only has a 3-year destruction, or 3-year retention schedule. So these are all the things that we don't need to keep in perpetuity, and we want to destroy them. And I believe this is 56 boxes. Again, we'll be destroying it by shredding. This will make room for the stuff that's above the PD. We can move that into that little file room, so we can kind of go through that and see what we need to destroy from those files. And this frees up a lot of space for us to move forward.
Is this stuff in the salt center?
This is just in the salt center.
This might free up stuff from the PD, because I have other plans for that room that don't include storage.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, I would love to have a storage space. So, yeah, so it's not on tonight's agenda, but just kind of get a precursor. I would like to have one of those shipping containers from Fred Moore. He sells 40 footers for $3,500. So that's a pretty good price. So if, yeah, for 40, I'm pretty sure they're 40 footers, the long ones.
Yeah.
So if we could have one at Town Hall, they're rat-proof, they're waterproof, they're fireproof, they're pretty much weatherproof.
Where would you put it?
Oh, in the back of Town Hall someplace. And then we could store a whole bunch of other stuff in there too, not just files, but rakes and stuff.
You have power to it?
No, I wouldn't. I don't want any kind of risk to any kind of, well, I might have like battery power type of thing, a lighting system, but it would be battery operated. I don't want any risk of like electrical fires in there. It's,
How much is it selling for? The
Two.
units?
oh,
Storage
he's selling them 3,500. When he has them in stock, he's selling for
Out
3,500.
here, this place out here?
There you go, and I'll put that Malloy.
And that includes delivery.
Yeah, that includes delivery. Typically, they're what?
Quotes.
No, I mean, typically the 20 footers are like $5,000 usually. But I mean, we can get more quotes too.
I'm just saying, I did Malloy is another, I think a lot of the time we buy from Malloy too right now.
How much are they usually when you get? Every time I called for my own personal purposes, it was like 5,000.
It just depends on the line you use, the lane.
And we don't really need 40 footers. We could get by with a 20 footer for what I needed for storage, but that's what he offers is 40 footers.
Moving on.
Oh, this is an article.
This is not a motion, that thing, right?
Mhm.
This one is?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the request for the position of the record instruction.
I'll second.
I was really good. Okay, I have a motion by Adrian, a second by Ernie. Roll call, Richard.
Or,
Adrian.
Or.
Juanita. Ernie.
Or,
Motion passes. Approval resolution 2019-15, bar budget adjustment.
So these are, I just turned in the third quarter report, and I noticed areas where, when we first did the budget at the beginning of the year, we were working on a new system, the LGBMS system that they put together. And I don't know if the numbers didn't go in there or if the numbers changed. It was really confusing because we're still working with the old system, trying to make it conform to the new system. And so some numbers were slightly off. So at this bar, just actually it makes the adjustments. We're on par now, we're on track. But like one, for instance, like library, I believe there's library expenditures. They typically get about $20,000. But they only got accounted for, I think we only budgeted for like $10,000. Well, in January, we actually increased it, but I accidentally put by instead of 2. No, I accidentally put 2, and it was supposed to be by. So in other words, we were trying to adjust it to $20,000. But to look at each one, in terms of revenues, I want to make sure that we look like, not just look like, but we are accounting for all the monies that are coming in. So we've got gross receipts, infrastructure, $8,000, increase it to. The gross receipts for gas tax for general purposes, increase that to $15,000. Administrative fees, increase that to $4,000. Our water enterprise fund, we actually had a really good year, so we're going to increase that to $450,000. I think we only put $200,000 in that.
And before he says we really have a good year, just for the record, I want to be aware and public that we're getting denied funding, very crucial funding, because our water rates are still not up to par. They want the base rate to be $31. Obviously, we're far from that, 16. So, I thought it was 16, maybe 16.
Well, our base rate is 16, but when you average it all, it's 18.
Okay, 18. So, I'll probably wait till after this next election, but I am bringing it to council to raise water rates again. Not to $31, but this is gonna be a slow increase over time. We have to get to where the state wants us, or else we're not gonna get funding for our wastewater, we're not gonna get funding for water. I have the email, and I will bring that as proof on one of the slides next time as to them telling us we are getting denied
That's state and federal. We got denied USDA.
because of our funding. They're saying that we're not gonna make enough money for our debt
Excuse
service.
me, he needs to talk to you.
Oh,
So you want the number
Yes.
or you
no, I don't need the money, I just need the course, I think.
want her to hold it or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Can you take that? Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Sorry, we're doing the raffle tonight too,
Okay, thank you for calling you guys.
at the meeting, yeah. Thank you, one. Huh? So, before he says we had a really good year of water, yes, we did, but we are still getting denied. So, water rates do need to go up again. Like I said, I'll probably wait till February of next year, until we got new, well, not new, until we got new. We may still have these, but until after the election. So, until the new council is here.
I don't want to be a part of it, wait till the council.
So,
So solid waste is going up to $150,000. General operating interest, $160. Corrections, we've been writing a lot of tickets, so increase that by $1,500. And the EMS grant, $8,100. For something, and that's one of the ones that the strategy, I don't know why it was budgeted for $4,611, but it should have been $8,100, which we actually received back in July. Corrections fee, that's where our actual tickets are, increase that to $6,000. Now here are the expenditures. The governing body, increase that to $40,000 because we've been having a lot of meetings, extra meetings, public hearings. General corrections, others, $6,000. That's greater activity with our police department, issuing citations and making arrests. Subsequently, and sending them to our municipal court, the revenues and expenses have increased greatly than anticipated. Library, again, increased that to $20,000. Highways and streets, increased that to $35,000. Law enforcement, increased that to $425,000. EMS, increased that to $10,505. And then our water enterprise, increased that to $420,000. And once we do all this, we'll have a better idea of how to budget for next year. Because we've always just been boilerplating year after year after year. And we've been budgeting way more than we bring in. And then we've been holding off on our expenses big time. So we've been fixing our flat tires with plugs and we're doing good.
questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve the resolution 2019-15 budget adjustment.
Second.
We have a motion by Adrian, and a second by Juanita. Roll call, Richard?
Or,
Adrian? Juanita? Bernie?
Four.
Motion passes. Approval of appointments to planning and zoning commission. So we have 3 seats available. And they are the seats, so right now we have 5 members on our commission. Ted Lopez, Chris Zamora, Jess Davidson, Manuelita Carr, and Ken Shedder. Those 5. So Ken Shedder and Jesse are obviously newer. They were just appointed last year, so they still have another year. The other 3 have been on there for quite some time. And so at the last meeting, I just recommended that we just kind of give other people an opportunity. They could have applied too as well. One of them did, and that was Manuelita Carr. So Manuelita Carr did submit to be on there. I talked to Chris. Chris said no hard feelings. He's kind of like ready to move on from it. So, but that if we didn't find someone that he would be willing to do it still. So he was just kind of helping out and stuff. Ted, I haven't heard from Ted, and so I don't know. But so there was 3 openings. Ted, Manuelita's in, Chris's. Manuelita put in again, and then we have Ms. Tamara Hayes put in. And so up until today, we only had 2. And then right before the meeting, if you guys are okay with that, I accepted an email form from Michelle Archuleta. She wants to be on it as well.
Yes.
So Manuelita, Tamara, and Michelle would be the 3 that we would approve, since they were the ones that submitted letters. And the other ones were told to submit letters.
And that's, we're doing that tonight?
Yep, approval of those 3. Well, I mean, unless you guys have other things, but yeah, it would be approval of those 3. Tamara, Michelle, and Manuelita.
And they start,
At the next planning zone meeting, which is a couple weeks.
The first Wednesday, no, the middle Wednesday. Yes, the 15th.
Any questions, any comments?
When you put out for the letters, you can give like a deadline, so no one complains, right, about the email? Did you put a deadline?
We just by the next meeting.
Okay, I mean, just, you know, I mean, so no one says, like, that comes late.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
do we start asking them questions now, or?
Well, only one's here, so she's on the hot seat.
Oh, okay.
You want me to answer for everybody?
Yes. What do you think about trailer parks? I don't know, man.
They're here.
We'll talk later.
I didn't know it was just an appointing thing.
Yeah.
That they were running, I didn't know you guys were just appointed, you know.
Where's my counsel?
Good deal.
And there is training available for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's the same as your guys' Molly training, but it's LZO.
It's cool. I like those. We get a lot out of that, you know, for stuff you just didn't know. So what are we waiting on, approval or what?
Yep, approval, motion to approve. You guys are okay with those 3?
Those are the only 3 that came in, right?
Yep, and then we have 3 spots, so.
No pressure.
No pressure?
I make a motion that we approve the appointment of Michelle Archuleta, Manuelita Carr, and Tamara Hayes.
Second.
I went in alphabetical order.
Okay, I have a motion by Juanita to approve the 3 ladies to the planning and zoning. A second by Richard, a roll call Richard.
4.
Adrian. 4. Juanita. 3.
4.
All right. Department head reports. Chief. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah?
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, I was gonna say, Chico,
Thank you, everybody. Before I start, I want to go ahead and present the certificates of appreciation to Mayor Smith. First, Dennis. Tim. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Say, I'm the chair. I ran out of color ink. Sorry. I was trying to do it on my printer, and then it just said ran out, and I'm going, oh. It was real nice. That's for your support in our memorial event that we had in the Sandlands. Turned out to be a very, very beautiful day. A lot of support from the community. A lot of support from political. We were surprised. A lot of politicals came out and supported us and given us their commitment to help our town. So it was a beautiful, beautiful day. Catering was awesome. They did a really fantastic job. Thank you all for coming out and supporting that event that went all over the state. The state police is gonna post it on their, what they call their Chiefs TV, which goes out as a briefing to all law enforcement agencies throughout the state, showing what Mount Air has done for the community and for the officers. So it was an awesome event. Thank you very much, Consul. That was very, very good. Okay, crime report. We've been busy. Our calls, as it gets warmer, the increase in volume is going up. So far, we responded to 23 calls for service, including the animal control and code enforcement. Officers have issued over approximately 20 citations for the first part of this month. Officer Torres, 2, Leeward, 8, Martinez, 8, Steve Bernard, our code enforcement, 2 citations. All of these citations are not even being fought. Everybody's paying their funds, which goes into our fund and increases our revenue. We did have a situation that required a call out. Sorry, Mayor, overtime, but it was necessary. We had a barricaded subject that refused to be taken into custody just this last couple of days. This individual was wanted out of Silver City. He was an escaped felon, and he was wanted for battery on police officers and narcotics trafficking. We spent about, close to about 2.5, 3 hours trying to negotiate to bring him out, and it worked after we got the information we needed. Our agency was the lead agency in this call. Torrance County Sheriffs assisted us, and we had agents from the Fugitives Task Force out of Albuquerque come and execute their warrant because it was their warrant. Subject was taken into custody without any incident, and he's going back to prison, hopefully, and stays there. We've recovered some stolen property, a local burglary that we had. We filed charges on the individual, and we're waiting on the DA's approval for a warrant on this individual. Total calls responded were over 21 calls, non-criminal. When that happens, it combined. We're going off of what we call our eForce database, is we put all the calls together and then they accumulate. So they could be medical calls, it could be somebody asking for any information. So that's what they put them all together. And it's good for us because the more stats we have, the better it is for our agency. Administrative reporting, animal control, impound 2, adoptions 2, 8 complaints of animals running at large, 1 code enforcement property related. Our ACO/code enforcement guy is doing one heck of a job. He is getting out there and he is kicking butt. So if your property's not up to par, be ready. Planning Commission, whoever's going on planning zoning, we'll be talking to you. So this is one part that all comes together. Mr. Bernauer is completed part 1 of part 3 animal cruelty investigator training in Albuquerque. Difficult course, but he will be the individual for the southern part of this county that is certified, that will be certified as an animal control investigator, which opens up funding from the state humane. And since our shelter is also registered, it kind of brings it all together. I thought it would be a good training for, and he's enjoying it. It's really good training. Our school resource officer, Martinez, attended the New Mexico Gang Conference updates and enjoyed it. It brought together law enforcement and corrections from all over the state to share on information that's affecting the schools and police law enforcement. Very good conference, and it was free. I just completed a training with the AIA Advocacy and Action Conference in Albuquerque, which dealt with supervision and management training, employee relations, mental health, and law enforcement issues. A lot of good information there. Met a lot of people from the mental health and social services, and and they were happy to see us that we're participating in these programs, which goes along with the other programs that we're members of, domestic violence in this county. We applied for the Edward Byrne Memorial Assistance Grant Program, JAG, out of DOJ, to attempt to hire an extra grant officer for the police department. Pending would be, the funding would be provided for 4 years, consists of pay, benefits, and equipment, all paid by grant monies, meaning Town of Mountaineer, if we get approved, we would hire an officer, he would be a grant officer, and we'd have to specify that he would have a job for 4 years. They pay for everything, and the Town of Mountaineer would pay his salary, benefits, car, and all that, but they get reimbursed, and we don't have to match anything. It's a situation in there. So, got my fingers crossed with all the funding that they're cutting for the immigration crisis. If it gets approved, it's over $430,000. So let's see if we can snag that money. I contacted also the Federal Department of Transportation. It's a highway safety program for hiring what we call a MidSAP traffic enforcement officer. That officer is also a grant position, and it's under the federal DOT, but it's supervised by the New Mexico State Police. That officer's job would be primarily the enforcement of commercial vehicle. All the traffic you see, all the commercial vehicles, this guy would be stopping them, citations, inspections, and they have a lot of work. So if that is approved, I just finished a conversation with Santa Fe program manager. They're gonna send me all the documents. It's kind of like almost like a sub-guarantee. So there's a lot of paperwork involved, so I'm gonna require Dennis and the mayor's help to put it all together because it asks for a lot of info. And if that goes through, they pay for all uniforms, equipment, pay, everything, because they're being funded by the feds. So it's another reimbursement item. Any questions on those two programs? We can pray and hope that we get it, but we're in competition with a lot of other agencies as well. So if it happens, it would be very nice. Last item, the Stephen Sandlin Memorial event was a great success and was attended by the community and various VIPs from various agencies, state, local, and federal. And they put our support on that, so it was a really good function. And there was a lot of people taking pictures. Saw you taking pictures. I'd like to get some of those. Oh, okay, the mayor's got
He's the
it.
official town photographer.
Oh, okay, awesome, awesome. Some items that were not listed in this report because it came in after the fact. On traffic enforcement, we have not gotten any official complaints from anybody that's upset with us. Actually, like I said, they're paying for the violations and they're not contesting those in court, which is a good thing because the officers really work diligently to enforce and be fair about the citations. I do want to mention something that the mayor and I talked about on traffic safety. I'm going to reach out and speak to the state highway department in reference to the situation that we have on Main Street on the parallel parking, how they park. If we go to the parallel parking, it opens up that street. State highway will fix it up, take care of put new lanes. And the reason why that I feel it's important is that right now when you're making your turns to go to the market, to go to the post office, you're crossing a double line. Just to let you know, if you cross that double line and you hit somebody, you're at fault. You're going to get cited and it's going to be your fault. Backing out the same way, I've noticed I go by there and I watch people backing up, sometimes don't look behind them or they have big trucks or something. They hit you, it's going to be one of those situations that you didn't see me type, but you got to remember, when you're backing up in the state of New Mexico, they have what they call unsafe backing law. And they said if you don't take precautions, then you're at fault. I think to avoid that, I think we need to look at that concept and maybe changing the ordinance to go to the parallel parking, because it would open up the road, put some new markings on the street, and avoid that situation. Plus, we're also losing money from state grants because that is not consistent with the state highway plans. So we're losing money by not going to that.
And the council last time was very much against it, in fact, all against. But just for the record, I've been talking with the New Mexico State Highway Department. It's coming
Yeah.
sooner rather than later. They're going to require us to eventually. I mean, we can fight them all we want, but it's going to come. If you look around the state, no, not many places are like Mountain Air, and there's a reason for that, safety. So, I mean, I know that this council already, I'm not going to bring it to this council. I may bring it to the next one if they decide. But I mean, if there's a different council, but it's going to come eventually. So we're just preparing for it. We've had discussions on it, how it's going to happen, and like I said, I mean, it's going to come regardless of if we like it or not. So.
It'd be nice if there was some kind of guarantee. I mean, if I knew about it, I guess the new sidewalks and I don't know the rest of the show, but if I knew that was actually going to happen, I'd like, oh, I vote the other way. That would sway my vote, but.
Well, maybe look into it.
I'd rather than force me to have a new sidewalk, get a vote for it, it's something else.
Well, no, they had street signs, light posts too. because
Light
those are so
posts.
dangerous. I walked with NMDOT engineers last year, and one of the issues that they had, we thought we had a pretty good solid plan, but it was gonna be $4 or $5 million. And they said our biggest problems was back then, prior to your arrival, nothing was in the UCR. We haven't been reporting our crime statistics since 2012, I believe. And so he's like, your town's safe. So we can't fund something, there's no statistics. They go straight to the UCR to find out how unsafe the community is. And because we didn't have any statistics, they denied us funding. Even for a planning project, just to build a plan, which is $50,000, just put the plan together. They said, you guys are too safe for us. So. I'm sure this-
It comes across a lot, what Dennis is talking is correct, is that if we want to get some money in from the state and the feds to fix up our streets and fix up our area for the community, we're going to have to change, and we're going to have to improve it, because they won't give you grant money if you're not being in compliance, and that's part of it. This is part of it. We changed that, now we're eligible for the grants. I submit the UCR reports every quarter, and that's how DPS determines what kind of funding's available. So when we apply, that's what they're going to look at. They're going to look at our statistical data. These grants that I talked about are based on that. I'm going to have to sit down with Dennis and the mayor, and we're going to have to look at how many commercial vehicles pass over here, what type of vehicles, how many citations, how many accidents we have. All of that is already compiled. I've done that since I've been here, is compiling all that information, and I hope we have enough, because that is a determining factor from the state to do that. And if you don't have the stats, they're just gonna say, sorry, you gotta bring up more stats. But that all comes all together. All these programs, state highway monies, federal highway monies, you have to have a plan in action. You gotta have the statistical data to back it up. That's the end result. So hopefully that if we can do that, it would benefit the town, because that gives extra money for infrastructure, highway safety, and it prevents the citizens from getting in accidents out there. Because right now, everybody's crossing those lines. We have not been enforcing that, only because it's been that way for several years, and people are used to it. But just take note that
I would agree with that. I think if they're illegally turning into going east and they're turning west, I think it should be enforced. Maybe that's an eye opener, because I know of an individual do.
Well, in reality, chief, if you enforce that, and we have a lot of tickets for that, it just further proves to the state
Yeah.
that we need a
So
change.
then we find conflict
So
ourselves.
And-
really,
and-
you're cementing
Yeah,
the change.
exactly. And then when that was brought to my attention, I kind of was in the middle saying, okay, well, the council approved that, okay, and then we're gonna start enforcing, there's gonna be complaints. So that's the only reason why I held them. But now
And there is,
that-
and so
yeah.
the reason for the last complaint, and I was actually in the wrong at that point. So the reason for the last complaint is because we were gonna ticket anyone that went over the double yellow. Well, the double yellow really is only enforceable from
55.
55 to the bank. Really, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Because everywhere else is an actual parking lot. So, and actually not even right here, you can turn, if you're going, I don't know what way that is, but if you're going towards east, you can turn into the bank, because that's a parking lot. You cannot turn into a curb. So any crossing of the double yellow right line into a curb is illegal.
Right.
Crossing into a parking lot is not. So if I was coming west and I turn into the B Street parking lot, I can, because that's a parking lot.
If you did a little U, or the diagonal part in front of the street, that would
That's
be-
illegal.
That's illegal. You gotta leave.
Because you're going into a curb.
That's
If you are crossing the double yellow to hit a curb, to park inside of a curb, that's illegal. So that's what we would enforce.
Yes.
And I think that we should start enforcing that.
You can,
I will.
you can start like we have warnings too, I mean, because.
Yeah, we're gonna-
I don't do it. I was the advocate of,
No, I hate
Brandon
that.
now.
No,
I was the one that kept saying it.
Yeah.
He said he talked to Vince Zamora from the school, and Vince Zamora said it was okay to do it, because he talked driver's ed. I didn't agree with it.
Well, no,
I'm
that was,
saying-
no, the thing was, is we were gonna, that's the, it wasn't that that's illegal. It's that we were saying the whole way, and Family Dollar, that's not illegal, you can cross the double yellow to there. You can cross the double yellow going to 7-Eleven. As long as you're going into a parking lot and not a curb, then you're good.
That is
And all I
correct.
meant by that was, you made the point, people have been doing it forever. It's been a while, it's not
So
been
going
forever.
to the Shepherd,
Yeah.
that's.
But if you
legal.
were to give somebody a,
The residents.
stop them and say,
Yeah.
hey, look, Ernie, this is your warning, we're not gonna allow this no more next time we do this, that's,
Yeah, no,
that sets the precedence. Now, that starts to tell me, oh, okay, they got me turning into the drugstore while I was headed east, and it's went in. You also have the other problem, people parking, say in front of the drugstore,
yes.
and they would back out. If they backed out, they would then be facing west. You got that problem, and then people backing up, going, completely backing out against traffic
Completely.
to go east.
To go
And
east.
that's
illegal.
that will wreck you.
Yeah,
Wreck
well,
you
what
bad.
I'm gonna propose on this is that, now that I know what the feelings are, is that we're gonna do that. We're gonna give warnings to get everybody in compliance and let them know that after your warning, it's gonna be written, or it's not gonna be verbal, it's gonna be written. And there's no action on that, but it shows that the violation did occur, and then we'll start giving the hard tickets. That's gonna be at least $70, $80. Just, my concern is the accident portion of it. I don't want anybody to get hurt because I gotta go to the post office or B Street and stuff. So with that said, that's another statistical input that we can do to increase our stats. And state police, they'll give you a ticket regardless. And so will the Torrance County Sheriffs. They're not gonna be nice like we are when we say, hey, don't do it. They're just gonna give you the hard ticket, so be aware of that. So they're coming down, when they're down here, they're looking for citations, they're looking for arrests. That is what their main purpose is.
And they are down here quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, they come a
Quite a
lot.
bit.
Yeah, they come a lot, and, you know, and they help us. They help us with our calls, because sometimes I might just have one officer, the sheriffs or the state police officer will go with my officer and help them on their calls. So we're very grateful to that. But I just want to let you know what has been brought to my attention from individuals regarding that particular problem. So we're going to start on that. Yeah, I think it's the best thing for public safety.
Because where I see a lot that they go
Yeah,
is to St. Vincent de Paul,
yes, they just cross right over.
yes, and the drugstore.
Mhm.
I see it to B Street, but those two places, this individual, it's true. And then you can tell that she's come that way because she leaves her car angling the way that she, at least she doesn't try to make it,
Obvious, yeah, I know, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
and I see her at St. Vincent's or
So the
at the
back-
drugstore.
Yeah.
Coming from west, Going to the
The
bank.
bank, you can turn
Just inside
no
the
matter what.
property.
Even the ATM,
Yeah,
Oh, even
It's
inside the
off the
right.
road.
it's off the road into the parking lot.
Chris Zamora.
Chris Zamora's is off, yeah.
Yeah, those things are
City Hall.
businesses and they have offsite, what we call
Part
offsite.
of the parking lot.
Part of the city.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, that's okay, but curb wise, the mayor is correct, that's illegal. And so I'm just kind of letting you all know that we got some close calls and, you know, we didn't enforce them because we were trying to figure it out, you know, how you guys felt on it before we started doing it. Because I know the town has been doing it for a while, so.
We've had several, and we're gonna have
Yeah.
backlash again, we always do. People don't like new changes, but that is so dangerous, and I see it on two levels, I mean, and we pointed those out. Not only reversing a big old truck parked next to you, trying to get out of that, you can't see a thing, you cannot. And then number one, if there's not a truck next to you, you're reversing, looking out that way, and here comes a car from across the street. And I know it hasn't happened, but we should try to prevent it before it happens instead of having it happen and then saying, oh, let's try to prevent it going forward. So,
That is what I propose. And I'm glad I got your support.
and again, this council, I will not bring it to you guys. I will not. I know you guys are dead set against it, but, I mean, like I said, it's coming. I mean, I know it is, it's coming. I talked to the guy, the DOT in Santa Fe, and he's like, it's safe, it's unsafe, it is unsafe. So,
There's a lot of things that are requirements, but the way I see it is that if we're gonna apply for these grants that are available, they're just giving this money away, you just gotta meet the stats. We have to make some changes here, because that's the only way they're gonna give it to us. Other than that, they're gonna say, no, we'll give it to somebody else. And that's money just going walk by. I mean, we can do a lot of good for the streets, you know, paving, infrastructure. I mean, we talked about medians. If you have that money coming in, it won't drain the town budget because it's all there already. The money's there to use it. And I think we should take advantage of that. Yes, ma'am.
If it will, when parallel parking arrives, yes, will they paint a center lane, a turn?
yes.
Yes.
It'll be just like.
And they'll put turning lanes and everything. It'll look really pretty. Actually, it looks real nice. And it's safer for you guys.
Yeah.
And people automatically assume parallel parking, New York City,
Yeah.
Albuquerque. It's not even gonna be close. It's gonna be
They
Estancia.
need to take Estancia.
Well,
Exactly right.
from a planning perspective, now that you're on the planning commission,
Yeah.
we do have,
Oh,
we do
Yes,
have
you do.
what's called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's in our planning ordinance. It's, you have to designate a set number of parking spaces per building. Well, and this was kind of archaic, it's based on Euclidean's planning and zoning ordinances, so we can alter it, and the more modern stuff is we just get rid of the minimum requirements for parking. So that way, we don't restrict business or economic activity, but we can minimize our parking and create more safer cities. So I can send you links to that too, and we can kind of research it, and where Jess is in the process
Like
of
I've already
doing.
started, links already?
Yeah, he's already doing updates to the plan, zoning ordinance, so you may want to advocate for that.
Do we have room for a town parking?
You know what we have are on the side streets, it could all be diagonal parking.
Yeah, that's right.
Like along Guston's, like how Nancy has it in the air shot.
We'll build a parking lot.
That would increase,
Yeah, all side streets designated all diagonal.
all right. Any more questions for Chief?
I don't know if it's for him or for you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, we're having a lot of people that are having their little, little sales over there. At one time, we passed an ordinance that they would have to buy a business license. Is the police officers going around asking if they have their business license to be selling there?
Yes. When I first came here, I got a lot of questions on that.
I know.
Thank you. I was like, I'm
What do you
over,
like?
hard of hearing already.
Turn it on.
That is private property. I always thought that was town property. So we would go there and ask them, do you have your permit, your business license? And a lot of them said, yeah, sure, here it is. Well, I came to find out that is private property. It belongs to an individual in Berlin.
Yes.
So I contacted the owner, and I asked him, I said, look, we got a lot of people that use your island to do their flea market, and he goes, I don't have a problem with it. I said, good, get me a letter saying that they're authorized, and we'll leave them be, but they still have to have their license.
Right.
So now, they're in compliance. We don't bother them as long as they have their license, and if we see people we don't recognize, we'll tell them, you need to go down to town hall and get a license to do this. And they go, well, so I've been here for years. I said, I understand, but this is actually private property. And they go, oh, we didn't know, we thought it was the town's property.
Can I have a copy of that letter?
Pardon me?
Can we get a copy of that letter?
Yeah.
That way I'll have it on file.
And I've stopped a couple of times just to see, and everyone has had their, they show me the
Yeah.
receipt or whatnot, so. A lot of them are going with the $35 a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, they're
They get the
$35.
$35 and then they don't have to deal with it ever again.
That's a deal.
That's what I said.
That was a.
Yeah, and it also helps us too at nighttime when we see the young kids cruising around and acting weird, and they stop there. That gives us authority to go on there because they gave us explicit to go in there and take care of it. And when they say, well, you can't do nothing, this is public, we go, no, actually, no, it's private, you gotta go. Yeah, you're trespassing. So it helps that we took care of that one, yeah, because there's a lot of confusion and all that. And we did that. So,
Any more questions?
any further questions?
I have something else.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you know the mitote that goes all along on Facebook. Okay, it was splattered over to Facebook that they broke into the St. Alice Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Okay, did they report that to you?
Yes, it was candles. That's what they took,
What kind of money? What kind of
or
money?
candle.
It was candle money.
Candle.
So whenever you go, when you go to the church, you light a candle and put in your dollar into the little thing. It's like a little tin can that they have, and they took like, I don't know, like $10 or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, we did a report on that,
We know who it is.
yeah. We
No,
did.
that, I know you did, but I just wanted to be, because according to the mitote on Facebook, they knew the individuals, but
But they don't say.
They don't say, and they always put the police department down. Oh, that police department ain't doing
Wow.
nothing, what are they doing? But they're not man enough or woman enough to file a complaint. All they do is do this, but they don't follow through. Or they go tell my compadre, you know, this, but they never come to you.
Yeah.
So,
I have to agree with you and disagree fairly. So the ones that did post the actual original post,
Mhm.
they did contact me and the chief.
Yes.
It's other ones in the thing where the complaints
Yes.
are going, and those are the ones that obviously
yes, that's,
don't say nothing. So I just didn't want the ones that originally posted to feel like they did, because they really did. And so, I mean, I confirmed with them who I thought it was, and they were the same people that they saw there hours prior. It's people that are illegally living in a abandoned house there, literally 1 block away. Since then, the town of Mount Air has initiated with the Central New Mexico Co-op to add a light in the area that they're squatting in. So they're gonna have some bright light tonight when they go to bed. That was installed, I believe, today.
I hope.
I
I haven't
think so, today.
verified.
So today or tomorrow, they will have a bright light, wishing them to sleep every night. But it's very dark right there, and that's their easy in, easy out. So, there's a pole right there, right in the alley, and I talked to Dennis called today, and they were gonna put up a light, so.
Has Steve been informed about that?
Pardon me?
Steve Bernauer, has he been informed about this?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes,
What are
he
we
has.
doing there?
So obviously, there's a time period, you can't just kick someone out, but technically, you can't live in a house without water, without electricity, without gas. So that process has already started. I contacted the owner directly. She said she doesn't mind them there because they are friends with her son. Okay? But you still can't live there, town ordinance, because there's no gas and water. I mean, I guess if she wants to pay the electric bill and the water bill and the gas bill, she can, but she's allowing it, which is unfortunate. I wish she wouldn't, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, so we stepped up.
So,
our
a lot of the crime's happening in that general area,
Mhm.
and it's because that's the center.
Yes. So you'll see us doing the enforcement. We're trying to get the owners that own property around here in Mount Air that are not doing anything to see if they'll give us a letter that we can go onto their property at any time so we can enforce the trespassing for them.
And this lady that we're talking about did.
Yeah,
She gave us
did.
permission,
Yeah.
but then she gave them permission.
Yeah.
So we can go on the property and see that they're there, but we
Yeah.
can say, okay, well, good to see you, and get out the door.
Yeah, so it didn't really do anything
Yeah.
because she's at fault at the same time. But we're doing our best to that. And I agree with Juanita on the Facebook stuff. I know there's a lot of people that are anti-police and all that, but the thing is that I don't worry about that. I tell everybody, if you have a crime, you see a crime, you think a crime, call it in to our dispatch center to record it, because that's the only way we're gonna know. And when you do that, you're gonna get the response, not only from us, but the sheriff's department. Everybody hears these calls, they'll come out and help us. But they have to be documented, and I've had, this week has been tough. I had a lot of people come into the station just complaining about everything, and the first thing I asked them is, did you make a report? No, I'm telling you, that doesn't help me. I said, you have to make a report, it's a crime. Do you want to make a report? No, I'm just telling you, that doesn't help me. You have to report a crime in order for
So
us
I'm
to
gonna,
do something.
I've been working on the flyer, I haven't put it out yet, but I've been working on the flyer. A couple of big things is people don't report it.
Yeah.
I mean, they report it, but they won't do a report on it
With you or with the chief?
with chief. But I mean, that brings me up to number two. Number two, a crime in process, don't call the mayor.
Yes.
Mayor can't do nothing in the crime in process.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. There's crimes going on, I see this, call 911. I can't do nothing.
Yes.
So that's all I tell them, because it's like, there's not much I can do. So I'm gonna come up with a flyer that is your basic, this is why crime's happening, this is what we gotta do. If someone comes to you, okay, so people are stealing stolen goods, or people, that doesn't make no sense. People are stealing goods, making them stolen goods, and selling them. Well, if people wouldn't buy them, people in the town of Mountain Air wouldn't buy them,
Yep.
they wouldn't be stealing them. But the issue is, we got a lot of people in town that buy the stolen goods. Well, to me, I don't know about anybody else, but to me, if you're buying a radio from someone for $2, you know better. You are committing a crime just like someone else. That's someone else's radio that you are buying. And that's very unfortunate. I think that there needs to be, the only way we're gonna overcome this is if we battle this as a community. That's the only way. And there's gonna be people that are gonna fight us on that, and that's fine, but I'm hoping that if we do like an educational blitz marketing campaign, if someone comes to you, take a picture of it without them looking at what the heck they're selling and who's selling it. Go to the cops and let them know, hey, Peter Nieto just tried to sell me a radio. Well, guess what? There's a report yesterday that a radio was stolen. Boom. So things just aren't happening, and we've said this before, police work is like a puzzle. You find one piece, you need the other to solve it. Simple as that. So, I mean, we really need people to start reporting crime and reporting people that are selling it, because that's a big thing. They wouldn't be stealing it and trying to sell it if people weren't buying it, and people are buying it.
I've had that in a couple of cases where people bought property and then found out it's stolen. And I told them the same thing as what the mayor said, you're buying stolen property. So we let them slide only because of the fact that they didn't know any better, but we can charge them for receiving, transferring stolen property. That is a 4th-degree felony. So we let everybody know up front, don't buy the property. Call it in and say, hey, I got this guy trying to sell me this stuff, and then we'll take it from there. And that way they stay out of the picture as a concerned citizen. That's how I list them. But if you're actually, yeah, I'll buy that for $20, then you're just as guilty as them, and you're gonna end up in court with them. Because that's what the DA's office is telling me the same thing.
Yes, sir.
You know, he's got a good idea on this. If the person has a home that's abandoned or whatever, give them permission to enter the property. But I'm thinking, couldn't the town have a form letter? We fill in the address, blah, 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 blah. At the bottom, we sign our name, and for whichever properties, or if you have more than one, and they could have these on file. the rap in the letter would be the same over and over, which is a good thing, and make it real easy to understand and to read. And I'm sure that people that own properties, I know myself, I have one or two, and I would certainly be happy to sign these letters for them to check them out at any time. And I think other people might do the same.
It's very simple. You can write me a letter saying exactly that, and it's enforceable because only you can revoke your authorization. We can't.
We'll make up for them.
Yeah, form's fine. Yeah, if you want to make a form, I'm good with that. But we're trying to combat this situation because it's like a cycle, keeps going and going, and it's the people that are causing it are the ones that are in that involved. So we're trying.
Yeah.
I don't listen to the Facebook. The mayor and I talked about establishing a new Facebook for police, and we're going to do that to give out positive information, to give out information about what's happening, events. I think that is more conducive to what we're trying to do as a community than the opposite, like what Anita said. I know we got haters out there. That's fine. You're always going to have it. That doesn't bother me. The fact is that as long as the community is behind the police and the council, we're doing it for the betterment of this place. And that's what's important. Because it all comes back. It all comes back to the council members. Hey, we are taking care of business. With that said, anybody have any questions? Anything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Adrian. All right, Adrian.
I just had 3 questions.
All right.
Have you got any more applicants? How's the schedule working for you? And as far as like the complaints that I got, as far as you as chief, you're doing, I can see you're doing an excellent job as far as the admin work, but are you finding time to be doing field work as well?
Question number 1. As I understood, we changed the salary.
No, yeah.
Okay,
That's
not yet.
council approval.
So we haven't re-advertised that position, but still under the same. Yeah, I was waiting for you guys, yeah. So once that's done, it's gonna be re-advertised. I did make some changes that I sent to Dennis on the flyer, as you would call it, the job description. I added some more stuff to kind of make it a little bit more interesting. So once we get approval from you all for that, then we'll re-advertise for the police officer position. I keep getting the same people that we rejected because they check the websites, and I gotta tell them, hey, your application's good for you, we'll consider it. We don't want these people. It's just not good for the department. Second, answer to your question, with all the admin stuff that I do, yes, I do still find time to go out there and patrol with the guys. I love being out there with them because it shows them support, and it also shows the community that I'm out there with my officers to make sure that they're doing their job. I run traffic. I did traffic this morning. Right now, I just answered a call coming before, only because we're short on the officers. And I don't want my officers to be out there by themselves when I'm available. So I do go out there, and whatever time they call me, if they have a call and they don't have backup, I get dressed and I'm rolling, because that's my job, and I do that, and I don't have a problem with that. Third question was?
Oh, just the schedule, how it's working.
Oh, the schedule.
Covered.
Yes, I had to go to 410s and for what I have, which covers 10 hours as opposed to 8. So we're on the 410 schedule, and that gives the officers a little bit time off more than the 2 days. I'm wearing these guys thin. I need help. And that's why I'm trying to get us grant money or anything I can to augment my department to help out and then cut down on overtime. And I'm on that schedule myself with them, but that's 24/7. It doesn't matter with me. I don't get paid overtime. But my officers like it. They like the 10-hour because our trip to Santa Fe, it gets long when you have to arrest somebody. And with Core Civic coming back into Estancia, they're going to open up the county booking. Man, that's going to cut down, like it's 30 minutes up, 30 minutes back, as opposed to your whole shift. Once an officer leaves Monterey to go book somebody, you're pretty much gone for the rest of the shift. And there's nothing we can do about that. It takes us 2.5 hours to get there, And then we gotta wait our turn because Santa Fe is busy. And it's first come, first served. And
So they
then
decided what they're gonna do with that building? It's gonna be a prison?
the CCA in Estancia said that it's gonna be immigration, ICE. So it's gonna be a federal detainee center.
Part of it too, looking,
Yeah.
take the whole batch up to Santa Fe for the
Yeah. There's a lot of people from out there that used to work there that have reapplied.
Yeah.
They're going back and they're paying very well. So that's a good odd job opportunity if you know anybody wants to work out there. But that's the plan, so it would help us tremendously on time and resources. So we are doing what we need to do to what we have at this point. Yes, the other officer, I would love to get an officer because it would help us on our scheduling.
Just an aside note, last meeting, by the time we left here, we had 5 officers, which we approved. The following morning, he said goodbye, adios. That's why we're back. to
And,
report.
and just going on that, I mean, I'm not giving out any private information, but he wanted more money than we were paying to come in. We had actually talked to him about possibly going to that rate after his probation to see what he kind of could offer. I mean, you know, you can't pay someone an enormous amount of money as they come on board. And he agreed to it, so everything went good, and then we called it this morning. So, you know, a waste of our time, I think, personally, because we kind of knew of everything, so, but it's okay. We're moving on, and that's it, really.
Anybody else have any other questions? Okay.
As
Thank
far
you.
as that, sorry, as far as that, retaining, like, the pay, is that something we need to meet up on?
Well, that's what's gonna come up at the next meeting.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss that and kind of see. So right now, the option would be if we wanted to, so right now, the way that is, they come in at a set pay, all the same, as a certified officer. After their probation, they get a next up level. Me and Adrian talked about it, and Chief is on board, I know, but I don't know how the other council feels about that, but that's for another meeting, I just wanna put it out there. Is the other solution would be to pay them the higher rate starting. They would still be on probation, so they would, you know, if it doesn't work out or they, whatever, we would just let them go. But after probation, they wouldn't get a raise, so it would just be kind of doing it before, so that was kind of the
Yeah,
thing, right?
Like, but that's why, I've never seen that before, you know, when you're starting pay, and it just makes things a lot cleaner, because I know a lot of times we're like trying to figure out, what did we start somebody at the last time, or what did we bump somebody up to, the thing is just cleans it all up. Kind of hoping to make that across the board for maintenance as well.
Yeah. So we'll discuss that. I'm gonna bring, I worked on that wage scale and I sent it to Dennis, made some minor changes on that, so we're gonna bring a wage scale as well, so we'll bring that in. And we'll discuss that and we can make the changes on that, approve that wage scale, and then that'll be the way to go. And then we'll change our advertising to match the wage scale, and we'll be good to go, so.
It'll bring a lot better applicants with the pay. It really does. It does help. It really does help. So,
All right, perfect.
all right, thank you.
All right, Daniel is not here, so let me start with his. This is starting April 8th, ending April 19th. Workers on call were Edward Padilla for the first week, JJ Torres for the second week. They read meters on 417 and 418. They had 0 water line problems, 0 gas line problems, 2 roads were surfaced. Sorry. 2 roads were serviced. Potholes on Forest Avenue on 3rd and Cedardale and Beale. We had a sewer plant service on 408, 410, 412, 415, 417, and 419. No sewer problems. No gas odorization injections. Update on that, we are moving forward with that. John Jones came in, he's gonna start getting the quotes for the installation of the gas odorization. So we'll be bringing that approval soon, and that may start before fiscal year, but it will be paid after fiscal year, so, and that's a pretty high one, it's gonna be like 50,000 for the installation of that, but again, safety. Equipment service, the dump truck, backhoe, and road grader, and the employee vehicles were all serviced in the last 2 weeks. Additional work, they helped Alpha Southwest unload motors for Cooper Well. They fixed the chlorine pump at the park, they cut weeds around the park, they got the park ready for the Easter celebration, and they got the, in front of the PD ready for the Sandline Memorial presentation. All right, financial? Huh?
I just wanted to say something that, by Ed's building there, I know we had that filled, that big old hole. I know it's the state's responsibility, but I don't know if we ever reached out to them.
What building?
By Ed's, like going into Larry's, I forget what that road is called.
Limit.
Where we had that water leak, remember?
Oh, yes. Okay.
You know what I mean, can we reach out to them, or is it something
Yeah,
we can fix?
Yeah, we could.
I mean,
Well, we can fix it.
I
think it's on our right of way.
It's on our right of way, yeah.
Yeah, we fixed it in the past when Dave was still here.
I know we put dirt in it in the past, but it just kind of, all that dirt
Yeah.
out of it.
Do you know if there's any like issues with that area, like it washes out because of the type of material we're putting in there?
Pretty much that's what most do, yeah.
So there's a, what do you call it there, though, right,
The valve?
a valve?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And that's one of the reasons that, what do you call it, that doesn't cover the valve?
Yeah.
What's your recommendation on that? Do we do like a manhole there? Like, well, how do we protect the valve while making it a flat surface?
First of all, I think it's a little too low, no? I think it's gotta be raised up a little. And then some areas that are bad and washing out like that, really a square, like a 2.5 pad of concrete is the best for those, instead of trying to put that asphalt in there, and it just keeps coming out to.
Okay, cool. So let's talk to Daniel on that.
Yeah.
Any more questions? All right, perfect. Let's move on to administration.
Okay, I submitted the quarterly report and we're awaiting approval on that. Our confidence report, that's our water. We put in all of our, all the statistics that we have in terms of the potential threats to our water system. And we only had one minor change. I fixed it and then we submitted it and then we're good to go. It's been approved by NMED and I published it on the website today. And you'll be getting letters in your water bill saying you can view this online. The Saw building, the mayor and I met with Mark LaFrancois from the New Mexico Park Service, and he's an expert at the federal level historic preservation, and was actually the caretaker of Mount Vernon. I believe it's the home of George Washington. And so, I think 17 years, I think he worked there as a caretaker. Yeah. And so he gave me a lot of context too about the historic glass manufacturers, so we can replace all the glass paints. We decided not to replace all the windows. We're just going to leave the windows as they are, as that one lady from New Mexico cultural. Yeah, she was saying they call them replacement windows because after 5 years you're going to replace them anyways because they're made of junk. They don't make them like they used to. So she suggested that we just replace the panes, and he said we have to replace them with historic. Made with historic techniques. And so I found a place that does that. We've had a safety training last Friday, and it was an accident investigation for managers and supervisors. Esperanza, myself, and Daniel were involved in that training. And we're kind of really ramping up this whole safety thing. I'm getting kind of excited about it. So I'll be bringing the updates to the safety policy to the council for approval and review pretty soon, possibly at the next meeting. Training. Again, with more training, I'm actually more inspired by our chief here. He's heavy into the training, and it reflects in how his crew is working. So I want to start implementing that all over throughout the rest of the other two departments. And so rather than send somebody to Albuquerque for $150, some of these trainings could be downloadable, and we can view them in a class or at town hall for as little as $99 for the video itself. And it doesn't have to be like an online thing where they just watch it, tune out, and go on. What we can do is I can actually watch for 15 minutes and we can stop and we can discuss it. And because we're no longer restricted on the time. It's like, oh, this is a 4-hour class. You got to get through the material in 4 hours. No, we can watch 15 minutes and then discuss it. And how does it apply to us? And we're all internal. It's going to be more of a meeting than it is training. But we get the training hours that we need, the prerequisite training hours. But it'll be more legitimate because it's not, people can't just tune out. It's going to be highly engaged. So I'm starting to do that. In fact, I've already purchased one, criticism and discipline for managers and supervisors. So I think that's a good one for myself and Daniel to be able to approach people within our departments that are having issues and approach them in a way where we nip the issue in the bud, the behavior in the bud, but we're not doing it in a threatening manner. In fact, Peter's really good at it, so I'm actually inspired by him as well. Tyler training, where we started our end user training. Phyllis Esperanza and I are trained daily now. In fact, we had one this morning on personnel management and payroll. Tomorrow will be cashiering. Esperanza will be in on that. New Mexico self-insurance fund renewal packet. I just began working on that packet today, so that's going forward for our next year's renewal. Judicial report. We've had, in month of February, we had 2382, which I already reported at the last meeting. In March, we've had $1,504. Total year-to-date, $7,035. And that's in penalty assessments and fines. MVD report, we had total driver's license and CDLs for 69, registrations $240, titles with registrations 81. And this is something that Gloria was actually pretty proud about. She was so busy that she actually brought in $33,403 this month. Of course, we only get 10% of that, but she's really proud of the fact that she really produced a high level this month.
Any questions?
Oh, this was last week, sorry. So no sense.
Any more questions? All right, I just have a few things. So June 7th, I believe, is the date that we're gonna have our employee meeting, I think it is. So again, I'm gonna ask your permission, I'll ask it at the next meeting, or actually I have to just get it now, to close the town hall for half a day, starting at 1 p.m. I'll have all the employees at the multi-purpose building, I'll do insurance enrollment, because it's our enrollment period, and then we'll do several employee things that we need to discuss with employees, new changes. I like to do our goals for the upcoming year, kind of thing. So, June 7th, is that all right with you guys? Okay. No.
Friday?
Yep. All right. Ready, that's right. Perfect. Streets, Adrian, maybe you wanna talk about that a little bit, about your conversation with Javier and.
Oh, okay. Just kind of like with the last meeting, I kind of talked about the roads and the dirt roads around here, and I kind of wanted to reach out to Torrance County. I wanted to reach out to a few different people, but Javier, you responded to me first, and we talked a bit at this weekend. So Javier did put in a request to the manager's office. I hope the road department responds to us soon, so we'll see what they come back with. So he was talking about like a cost share match with us paying half and Torrance County paying half. So it's a step in the right direction. So we got our roads up to par, and then we can look at paving them. Hopefully.
Yes, absolutely. And Javier's on it. I mean, we sent him an email, he's responded. He sent it off to the county department, road department. So now we're just waiting on their response. And that's awesome. The Sandlin thing, again, huge success. One of my proudest moments of being mayor was really that day, because I mean, we just had a lot of people and it was a great event. And I think it was long overdue. I mean, 31 years of no real, I mean, I know we have a memorial out there, but it's just, he deserved better. And I think we gave him better, so, all right. The DA's office actually called me, the district attorney, Tim Wellborn, is passing through on the 14th, and he wanted to stop. And, well, obviously at the Sandlin Memorial, we were showing the inside of our department, which I'm also very proud of. And the DA's office was very, very thrown back by it, because he was like, wow, this is really awesome. So he's actually talking to Estancia, and he's talking to Moriarty to see if they would want to implement something of the same. They got all the information on the cameras and all that from us, so they're interested in doing the same in those two areas, or at least recommending it to them. The district attorney, Tim Wellborn, is going to stop by on the 14th to take a look at it, because he wants to learn more about it. So I think we're headed in the right direction with that department and with that station. I think it's just awesome. Next thing that we need to do is more cameras. We have someone right in the middle of town that we can add 2 cameras on. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and authorize the purchase of 2 DVR systems with 2 cameras on them, on each one. And we'll set those up at 2 businesses. So the next step in our plan was to get with businesses. I know Ed has already offered the Schaefer. So we're gonna get cameras, and the PD will be able to view those cameras at all times in the police department. Okay, so I don't know if you guys saw the news story yesterday about Rio Rancho residents in the neighborhood throwing a fit over a Verizon tower. Well, I Googled it because I was like, oh, I want to know more. So I Googled it and I found a tower company that's involved in that, and I contacted him, and he seemed very intrigued about getting a tower out here with Verizon service on it. So I tried for over 2 years to get a Verizon tower through Verizon. It hasn't worked. I called. This guy seems intrigued. So I'm hoping, cross your fingers, that he's actually being intrigued because he's really interested. He says that all the town would need to do is provide really the land, and we have plenty of land. So. But I think having a Verizon tower here is very crucial. I've mentioned the economic value of it. I mean, people passing by aren't going to stop here or stay here for long if they're on Verizon and they don't got no service. I know I wouldn't, personally. So hopefully that is, hopefully we're heading in the right direction with that. And then also ambulance, $135,000 we received in grant money. And that is Carol Clay and the department. They are just rocking it. They're the ones that put in the grant, and we did get that. So $135,000 for that. The town will obviously have to match, I think, 25% of that. So around $35,000-ish, $40,000. And we're hoping to talk to USDA and get additional funding, so that way we can get the one that we want and that we need. Some of the aspects of that is 4x4, you know, just all around good ambulance. I have authorized, I told you guys at the last meeting, I authorized multiple people to go to classes this summer. Some included a new teacher that we got. He used to be an EMT and he's gonna go back. So I think we're headed in the right direction with the ambulance. I know it's a long, stressful time, but we'll get there, I promise you that. Any questions for me? All right, yes.
Pierre, you and the council are doing such a marvelous job, but I want to bring up an old topic. Signs.
Street signs.
Street signs.
Like the
I
name
can
tag?
still get lost in Mountain Air, I just want you to know. I mean, I've only been here 9.5 years. But it's wonderful, the improvements, but if we don't have street signs,
Right.
how can we find it?
I mean, the signs are on, off of 60, but as you get further in,
Yes.
I mean, 3rd Street, you go down.
And it's gonna be really a total change when that comes. I mean, it's coming. We authorized the order of them. We're getting them. I mean, right now, I have them doing, I call them and have them do other things, and I know that they really wanna focus on some of that stuff, and they really should be. So I promise to leave them alone for a little bit so they can get that done. But, we're gonna replace, I mean, you're gonna see new changes as far as like old stop signs coming down. There's like, we have stop signs that are made of wood that have probably been there like 30, 40 years. So they're gonna be putting, the aluminum ones and all that kind of stuff. So yes, that is coming, I know.
Your first thing you put up, he's taking it down.
We still have to paint the road.
I got one of those.
It's hand painted.
Also, you wanted to mention something about the.
Oh, yes,
concrete.
very good, yes. So a couple months ago, probably, maybe a month ago, we approved the gazebo, the big, what is it called? A gazebo at the, for Leroy Simmons. So we called in we called in a structural engineer, because when you're doing something like that in a public place, and you don't get a structural engineer, if that falls and kills somebody, obviously we're at fault. So the structural engineer made some changes. Right now, I just want you guys' approval to move forward, because there is gonna be another cost to that, and I'm just making you aware, so I wanna know you guys' opinion, and it has to do with cement. It can't just be a regular cement job. I mean, it has to be someone that knows what they're doing, a contractor that comes and does the drawing has like how, you probably better understand.
Yeah, basically what they're requesting is, or what they're requiring, is the whole perimeter have a full-blown footer. It's gonna be excavated 3 feet wide, 3 feet deep, refilled and compacted, and then 1 foot dug out, so it's gonna be an earthen berm pour. I just talked with Bernauer last week, just before he went to that training, and he said he's gonna talk again with the engineer to see if we don't have to go down the perimeter and just do that as base posts all the way around, which is really what we wanted in the first place. But, so he's gonna go ahead and get that information from us. Hopefully, he doesn't think the guy will charge us any extra for just to make that slight modification to the site plan. But there will be a cost associated with that, so.
We don't know the cost yet, so I don't know if you guys wanna, so right now what's happening is we're at a stall because Leroy Simmons and his workers are kind of just waiting for the go-ahead, because obviously they're not gonna start making the changes if we're not gonna approve it. So I don't know if you guys are okay with approving it tonight. You can say no until we get a final figure, that's fine as well. But I'm just letting, whatever you guys choose, they are waiting for the go-ahead to, if we're gonna continue with the project or scrap it all together.
Is it something that we're trying to plan like for the 4th, to have it by the 4th, or?
I don't know if it can be done by the 4th.
No.
No.
Maybe
I
for-
wish,
Maybe for the Sunflower Festival.
yeah. 4th is coming up pretty dang quick, we're like
That'd be great.
5-6 weeks away, but there's just a lot of changes that were recommended, structural changes, a lot of 45. Barely learned what that was, but a lot of 45. So things like that need to be done, so they're gonna be
The
working.
big thing is all that cement.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's a lot of cement,
A lot of
especially if they
cement.
were trying to in the perimeter.
They love that.
Yeah, I
And it's
know
over.
we're committed to it, but officially we need a,
We should have a budget.
Okay. I kind of figured you guys would say that. Well, I mean, I just know, that's probably what I would say too, just because of the money wise. So we're working on that, so unfortunately, 2 weeks, another 2 weeks waiting. Sorry, I'm sorry, Lou, but until we get an official, it'll be on the next agenda. We'll have a quote by then, and then we can approve it at that time.
Have they given you like a rough estimate or if not?
Well, no, we haven't talked to any contractor themselves, we just talked with the structural engineer.
We'll get the quotes. We'll have it by the next meeting, 2 weeks away. Sorry, tell Leroy, sorry, I had one thing. And then one final thing, and any more questions before that? Public input? Just one final thing, I wanted to do it officially, so Tamara, if you can help me real quick before the thing, if you can shake that up.
Explain that.
So what this is the Jubilee held a fundraiser, or where you buy tickets, we obviously raised some money, for the Jubilee. And, we're auctioning off a Fitbit charge, valued at $90. So, they bought tickets, I wanted to do it in a public surrounding, not just at home, because I know people say, you know, oh, you cheated, or.
Can I buy one?
No. You don't want to? You could, I mean.
Are you still selling them?
We're not.
Because.
Well, I mean, you guys,
Don't see ones that are good.
Anybody want one?
Selling them?
nobody wants to buy? No? Okay.
Do you?
So if you could just shake that around without my shaking, and then have somebody from the audience take, we'll have Donna come up and pick a name. Lillian Hernandez. She's a teacher at the preschool Head Start. So congratulations to her. Thank you so much for that. Perfect.
These four.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Charger.
Makes a motion to adjourn.
Second? First by Adrian, second by Juanita. Roll call, Richard? 4. Adrian? 4. Juanita? 4. Ernie? 4.